guys, I am Dani and welcome back to my channel with Summer Skye Gardens. So in today's video, I am at the farm and I am inside my grow room, and I thought I would give you a little tour and show you how I start hundreds and hundreds of seeds here at my flower farm. Now I know a lot of you are just growing at home, and you can certainly take all of these tips I'm going to give you to grow at home. I started out just growing a handful of seeds in my office in little styrofoam cups so that I could grow vegetables in my backyard, which I still grow stuff at my house as well as the farm. But then I slowly transitioned to needing more and more space, getting some nicer grow lights, some nicer starting materials, but it doesn't have to be this fancy. You can go very, very basic, but I'm gonna give you the main things that you wanna think about and plan for when you're starting seeds. As always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below if you have any questions, and I would love to have you as a subscriber, so check out my homepage and hopefully subscribe. All right, so push the camera back a little bit so you could see here at my farmhouse, I took one of these spare bedrooms and turned it into a grow room. So I have all these shelves kind of around the room. I'm actually probably going to add some more because I don't have enough space, as funny as that is. And that is all I am doing in this space. It's warm, but not too warm. I have a fan running for airflow. I have a closet where I can store the materials, but like I said, you don't have to have a huge space like this. I started out, like I said, on my desk in my office, and then I transitioned to a closet, and now I have this big room. So let me kind of show you around how things look and what all I have growing right now. So here we are just entering the room, and you can see I have several shelves. Now all of these shelves I purchased secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. So I got some really good deals on them, and they're different sizes, and I just kind of fit whatever I could. These grow lights are 2 feet across. They're linkable. I got these off of Amazon because these were what I was using at home the last couple of years. And I just took a few and brought them to the farm because I got this shelf here and I figured, well, they'll fit. I don't need as many grow lights at home. And you can see that they're linkable, which I think is so helpful. A couple of them have red blue light. The other ones just have white. Either way is fine. And then all of my lights are plugged into timers. You want to put your grow lights on for about 14 to 15 hours is kind of a good sweet spot. Okay, and then let's look over here. So this shelf I just set up, and I have a few trays up here. These lights are just shop lights from Lowe's, and they're linkable, which once again I love because then that means just the cords can kind of plug into each other. So then you only have a couple plugged into the bottom. Now, if you'll see here, these lights are pretty far away from the tray. That's actually not great. I'm gonna get some longer chains to hang them lower, but these were just the chains that came with the light, and I just needed to get them going. These are all Cosmos, and whenever I come in here and I water or do anything in here, I just kind of run my hand over them just to kind of stimulate wind movement to get them ready for the outside. It's another tray of Cosmos. And then these are Amaranth, not quite as sturdy. I just watered them, so a lot of them kind of flopped over. Now these trays I got from Johnny's Select Seeds. Let's go in the closet and I'll show you. I have boxes of them. So they're just 72 cell trays. You can order them in bulk. And then I ordered these little white trays to go underneath to catch water. And then humidity domes, which I used to not use, but they really do speed up germination. So not absolutely necessary, but if you want to use them, they definitely help. But they have all kinds of sizes. I just found that the 72 cell trays are just the most kind of universal. So this is my main shelving unit right now, just because these lights are nice and big. They hang down low enough right over the trays. You want to hang your lights like a couple of inches from the tray. These are all seeds I just started today. So you can see there's not gonna be anything popping up. Put the humidity domes on. And usually with these, depending on the seed, I mean, it'll be within a couple of days they'll start sprouting. These are seeds that I started 2 days ago. So they've all popped up. These are all zinnias that'll be going out in my U-pick field. So once, like, I would say 70 to 90% of them have sprouted, take the humidity dome off. You don't need it anymore. That's really just to maintain moisture and warmth for germination. But once they've all popped up, you don't want the actual seedling to stay that moist anymore. So you need to take the dome off. Here's a couple of more I just started today. Another tray of zinnias. We have zinnias. These are some marigolds here. And some more zinnias. One tray I did start, I did start early that are gonna take a while are Lysianthus. You can see it's been a week, nothing has popped up yet. That's fine. They usually take 2 to 3 weeks to germinate. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this humidity dome, make sure it still is maintaining moisture, make sure that the soil is not drying out too much so that they will be able to germinate. Now you can also see in here this lighter color substance on the top. That is vermiculite. And if I have any seeds that are super, super little, I will just kind of sprinkle them on top of the soil and then cover them with a little vermiculite. The little bitty seeds need light to germinate. So if you push them down on the soil, they're not going to get that light, as well as they might get lost. And the vermiculite just kind of allows light in while keeping the seed kind of stable, as well as moist, keeping that moisture on the surface. Okay, so that's all of those. Oh yeah, and then going back over here, so you can see this tray, I left the humidity dome on. I watered them earlier. So a lot of them have popped up, but not, I would say maybe just barely half. So I'm gonna leave this humidity dome on another day and see how it looks tomorrow. Same with this tray. Not quite there yet with all the seedlings, but I bet tomorrow when I come in, a lot more will have sprouted and I'll take the dome off. Now, as far as seed starting mix goes, I've used this Jiffy mix forever and it works fabulous. And I'm scared to change it, honestly. I did try some burpee mix because this still uses a little bit of peat mixed with coconut coir. Peat moss is not really environmentally friendly, the fact of how it's grown. So I know a lot of people are trying to get away from that. And I tried a new mix this year from Burpee that was just using coconut coir, and my seedlings did not do that great. So I've kind of just gone back to using this for now. And then of course, this is the vermiculite that I'll sprinkle over the top of some of the trays. And you can get either of these online in Amazon. They're actually in my Amazon shop, which I'll link below, or like at your local garden or home goods store. So just a few tips as well on starting seeds. Number one, you want to make sure that you're timing your seed starting appropriately. So right now I'm still trying to start some warm season annuals to get in the ground and grow before my first frost. But let's say you're planning for the fall and you want to start some seeds that are going to go in the ground in the fall and grow through the winter. You want to look at when you typically plant them outdoors and go back about 4 to 6 weeks. That's when you need to start your seeds inside. So for instance, I am going to grow snapdragons. Here in the South, we plant them in the fall and overwinter them because we have a really mild winter, and that way we get those early spring blooms. Usually you want to get them in the ground kind of around October. So counting back 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to start them in September. So I'll get them in the trays, let them grow for about 4 weeks. If they're looking pretty good, then I'll start to bring them outside and harden them off for 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the heat and the weather and how it's going. And then I will transplant them outside. Now let's say spring or summer rolls around and you're ready to start some seeds to be planting for the springtime. You want to, a lot of those are going to be your warm season annuals, and you want to make sure that by the time you're transplanting them outside, you're not going to have any more frost or freezes. So just look at your area and kind of take like your average frost date and count back 4 to 6 weeks. So, you know, traditionally where I live in South Texas, our last frost is either end of February, beginning of March. So if I count back 4 to 6 weeks, I'm starting seeds kind of end of January, beginning of February. Now I will say the weather has been a lot crazier the last few years, and the frost dates are always changing. I think last year we had one bad freeze in December, and then it never froze again. We did have a little bit of frost here and there, but it was warming up by the time we usually get a little bit more frost. So I could have actually got stuff in the ground a lot earlier, but you just never know. So you can kind of take a gamble a little bit. You just want to make sure that you have protection for your plants outside. If you're worried about a frost or a freeze coming in, just have like some frost cloth on hand if you have anything that's still kind of like a baby and might be susceptible to the weather. So then once you figure out what you're going to grow and when you're going to grow it, then just, you know, get your soil. I like to mix the seed starting soil with some water and just get it kind of spongy, shove it in the tray. I add a little water on top yet again, and then I go through and plant my seeds in the tray. Or like I said, if they're really little, if they need light to germinate, I'll sprinkle them on top and cover them with the vermiculite. Once they're planted, I bring them inside, put the dome on, and then I give it, you know, a couple of days or longer, and just keep an eye on them every day. Make sure the soil is still a little bit moist. The humidity dome has humidity inside, and I wait until 70 to 90% of the seedlings have popped up before I take the dome off. And then after that, I'm pretty much coming in and watering them every day. I had an instance earlier this summer where I had started some seeds for my U-pick field. I went out of town and my parents came a couple of times to water for me, which was great. I was depending on that, and that's why I started the seeds, but there were a couple of instances where they went almost 3 days without water, and I had a ton of them die. Even recently, I had a point in time where I couldn't come up here 2 days in a row to water, or maybe it was they went about 2 days without water, and a lot of them died. So they're really tender. They're really not hardy at this stage. So you want to make sure that the growing conditions are really ideal inside. They're getting enough water, enough light, and you know, get them off to a really good start. And once they've grown for about 4 to 5 weeks, then you can start to harden them off outside. Now I do have a video about hardening off, which I will link here below, but basically you're just taking your seedlings and you're gradually exposing them to the elements outside. So that might be either cool or warmer air, humidity, maybe some wind, the bright lights, and you want to do it gradually over 1 to 2 weeks and keep a really close eye on them. I've accidentally left some outside before because I thought like they'd probably be fine, and then a lot of them died. So you want to make sure like get yourself a timer, or you know, write things down like day 1 hour, day 2 2 hours. Start them out in the shade, you know, just let them get used to a little bit warmer air and maybe some wind, and then you start to give them a little bit of morning sun and then a little bit of afternoon sun. And once you get to the point where you're pretty much leaving them outside all day and they still look great, then you're ready to transplant. So last thing, let's go pop outside real quick. I have some trays of zinnias that I am hardening off, and I'll show you how they look. All right, so here are my seedlings that I've been hardening off outside. Looking good. This is probably, I think, day 3. So I put them out a few hours ago. They've been mostly in the shade, and then they're starting to get some filtered sun. Now at this point, I would probably leave them out a little bit longer, but I have to go. So I will be bringing them back inside, but keeping them nice and watered. Make sure they have enough water when I bring them back outside. You can see how some of them have died. These are the ones that did not make it without getting water for 2 days, just 2 days. So just goes to show you how sensitive they can be. And then one last thing is I usually will fertilize them halfway through their growing with either this Microlife Blooms or Microlife Ocean Harvest, just to give them a little fertilizer boost. But yeah, there you have it. All right, guys, so that is it for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, put them down below. Be sure you sign up for my mailing list. I send out a newsletter usually every couple of weeks with lots of helpful information, especially if you want to come to our You Pick flower field that should be opening up next month or so. I will link that down below, but thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video.